What's up guys, welcome to another episode of Flux Fridays, a series where I show you a new flux farming method every single week. Today we're going to be talking about a topic similar to one of the previous episodes of Flux Fridays. The topic of today's video is farming various recipe dungeons and selling those recipes on the marketplace. The reason why this is different from the Neon City recipe dungeon farm is because this farming method applies to every biome's recipe dungeon as opposed to just the Neon City. To start things off, I figured it'd help if I briefly explained what recipe dungeons are. Recipe dungeons are a type of dungeon that can generate in the majority of adventure worlds, excluding the Geode Topside, Shores of the Everdark, and the Radiant Ruins. In addition to those specific worlds, recipe dungeons also don't spawn in any of the beginning 3 adventure worlds, meaning that they first start spawning in the Uber 1 Fey Forest world. These dungeons stand out quite a bit from the rest since they have a completely different map icon from the standard dungeon. They're also easy to spot in the world itself since every recipe dungeon has a large floating recipe above the actual dungeon. Each biome has a different unique recipe dungeon that will give you a biome specific recipe from the chest at the end. Now that we've gone over the introduction of these recipe dungeons, it's time to explain how to farm these dungeons effectively for a solid amount of flux. Personally, I don't recommend farming these directly, however I do recommend adding them to the endless list of things that you should farm passively while you're doing other tasks. In other words, if you're farming for something else, or simply just clearing out random dungeons, be sure to stop by any recipe dungeon that you find to make some extra flux along the way. There's also a key element to farming these recipes that I haven't mentioned yet. The most important thing that you need to know about farming for recipes is that prices fluctuate like crazy, and each biome's recipe tends to have a different price. From personal experience, some recipes like the Neon and Jurassic recipes tend to sell for the least amount of flux, while the Frontier, Highlands, and Forbidden Spires recipes sell for the most. Another honorable mention is the Fey recipe, since these tend to spawn insanely frequently in the Uber 1 Fey Forest world, and often range from 800 flux to up to 1,500 flux. The main thing to note about these constant price changes is that you don't have to sell your recipes right away. If you farmed up 20 Fey recipes, but Fey recipes are selling for 600 flux, just save them. Sell them later, or list them up for a higher price. Before you sell any of your recipes, I recommend studying the market for a few days to figure out the maximum amount of flux that you can make from each of your recipes. The last thing you want to do is sell all of your recipes for 800 flux, only to figure out that they sometimes can be worth up to 3,000 flux each. Anyways, that's it for this episode of Flux Fridays. Hope this video helps. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something new, be sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.